And I'd like you to hear some words from Anson Dorrance, coach, college coach, national team coach, person who knows Mia probably better than anybody does in the soccer world. Anson Dorrance.
30 years from now, a woman running for President of the United States will be asked about the defining moment of her childhood. And she will answer without missing a beat: the 1999 Women's World Cup soccer tournament. If it's not a female presidential candidate, it will be a female CEO of one of the nation's most successful Fortune 500 companies, or the top-ranking woman in the military, or the female chancellor of one of the great universities. It's going to happen. In 2029, an important woman will talk about the fact that for the first time in a non-Olympic year, she watched and cheered for women who looked just like she did when she grew up. She will say, the World Cup showed her that sports could be as inviting to her as they had been to her brother. She will look back and say that after the summer of 1999, she never felt silly or unpopular or out of place playing sports. Christine Brennan wrote that in her USA Today column on July 9th, 1999, the day before the US-China final. She predicts wonderfully the inspirational legacy of the beautiful game's beautiful player that we honor today. At 15, this player was the youngest to wear the full team red, white, and blue. At a mind-bending 158, the most international goals. On her watch, multiple championships were won at every level: collegiate, professional, Olympic, and World Cup. Can athletic resumes be any more perfect? With the encouragement of her beloved brother Garrett, she spent her sporting life retiring the insult, "You play like a girl," and changed a landscape for girls and women that will reach far beyond our lifetimes. And what makes this even more endearing is she doesn't even want the attention. She cringes at every best player in the world compliment and tries to steer it back to her teammates. Don't you mean Michelle? Aren't you describing Christine or Julie? And how about this for personal character? When the salaries were being discussed for the launch of the WUSA, even though she could have commanded one much higher than everyone else in the league, she refused to make one dime more than any of her 1999 World Championship teammates, even those that sat on her bench. She even gives back the compliments you try to pay her, and we all have wonderful examples of this quality, and this one is mine. I live 7 to 10 minutes away from my office, and there are two ways I can get there. One is a bit longer, but it's a lot more scenic because it goes through a beautiful park. And in the early spring of 1994, in the final semester of Mia's senior year, I was driving through the park, and out of the corner of my eye, I could see this figure sprinting 5 and back, 10 and back, 15 and back, 20 and back, 25 and back. And without her noticing, I pulled over to watch. Sure enough, it was Mia. And she was doing a grueling fitness exercise we call cones. Between these sprints, you could see her hunched over, sweat pouring from her brow, And because it was early in the morning and cool, hot air was shooting from her lungs as she was struggling to catch her breath. I was so impressed. The second I got into work, I scribbled a note to Mia, dropped it in the mail, and I forgot about it. Years later, after Mia had become world famous, she wrote a book called Go for the Goal. There in the breastplate of her book was the note I had written her. The vision of a champion is someone who is bent over, drenched in sweat, at the point of exhaustion when no one else is watching. The final measure in athletic greatness is what you are willing to sacrifice on your own to achieve it. And knowing that she had kept that note and seeing it showcased so prominently in her book is one of the most heartfelt gifts I have ever been given. So, thank you, Mia, for being such a loyal, caring, humble, self-sacrificing, and extraordinary woman, and welcome to the Hall of Fame.